guys, so you guys seem to really be liking my book hauls, and a lot of you said that when I finish reading them you'd really like to see some reviews. So I have been working a lot this week, but I arrived at one shoot for Babulous, which went really well and the pictures look amazing. I'm going to be on a hairdryer box, which is very exciting, so I shall tell you when it's out so you can go see if you want to look. But I arrived there at 10 and I didn't start shooting till 4, so I had an awful lot of time just waiting around while the other girls did their shots and things. So I managed to finish the whole trilogy in 3 days because I have an hour travel time into London and an hour back, plus the time in hair and makeup. So I had an awful lot of time to read. So I finished Switched, Torn and Ascend, the whole entire trilogy, which I think is called the Trylle Trilogy, although that's a bit of a mouthful, and I absolutely loved it. Now, before I get started, I will give you an overview of what I thought, and then I will go into a bit more detail. So this is the bit that will not have spoilers in it. I will warn you when you need to switch off if you don't want to hear spoilers. So I absolutely love this trilogy. First off, can I just say, the book covers are beautiful. It's got this black and white design with the kind of pop of colour. And I have to say, this is not my normal kind of book. They're fairly short books. I mean, the first one is about 330 pages, and they're all sort of around that length. So they're a nice read if you know, big books scare you. Because, I mean, I've read books that are sort of, you know, the width of the whole one, which is quite tough if you're not a big reader. So they're a nice length, they're all very well written, and although they're not my normal kind of dystopian society type books, I found them very interesting. There's an element of magic. I mean, it's really about trolls. It's about a girl called Wendy who is switched at birth, and she's actually a troll princess, and it's about her finding out who she is and you know, realising that the reason that she's different is because she's the troll princess, which doesn't sound very nice, I realise, but these trolls aren't actually like trolls that we would imagine. They look like normal human beings and they're actually quite gorgeous. So it's kind of about her and her finding her way and her getting accustomed to her new surroundings and what it's like to be a troll princess and meeting her mother and things like that. So, but there is an element of magic. They all kind of have these different powers, and it's a really, really nice trilogy actually. It's well written. I read from the young adult section. These are from the young adult section, but I actually thought that they weren't too young for me, because sometimes I read books and I think, God, actually I'd have enjoyed that more if it was for adults. I am 19, so I am a young adult, but I'm a big reader and I've read, you know, normal adult books. I read a lot of the crime ones as well that I get off my dad, weirdly enough. But these were really well written. I just couldn't put them down, and that wasn't just because I had time to kill. Because I had my iPad, I could go on YouTube and watch things, but I was just desperate to find out what happened next in each of these books. So I thoroughly recommend them, even if it's not your normal kind of thing. There's magic, there's romance, there's battles, there's, you know, kind of superpowers kind of thing, and it's really endearing to kind of watch Wendy figure out who she is, and you kind of do get that really nice kind of character bond where you really care about the choices she makes and what she's going to do, and I really liked it. So now there may be some spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, look away now, turn me off. I'm going to talk about the books individually, just kind of a summarise for you, and say which ones I kind of enjoyed the most. The first book is Switched, and this is about her and kind of discovering that she's not actually a human. So she is Wendy. She's a 16-17-year-old girl, and she's always been a bit different, and her mother had tried to kill her on her 6th birthday. her brother Matt had saved her, and she, ever since then, her mum had been locked up in an asylum because she claimed that's not my baby, and obviously they didn't know that it wasn't. And she has been the care of her Matt, her brother, and her aunt Maggie ever since her mother tried to kill her. So weird things start happening. She doesn't know why, but she has this power to think what she wants to happen. So, for example, she's sitting in class and she's fallen asleep, and one of her teachers wants to send her to the principal's office, or if you're in the UK, we would call that headmistress office. And she doesn't want to go, and she thinks, oh God, I don't need to get expelled from another school again. And she kind of thinks, don't send me to the principal's office, don't send me to the principal's, and he changes his mind. So he kind of gets a bit fuzzy and he goes, actually, don't worry, you can stay in class. So she has this power over people and she has no idea why. And at school, she meets this boy called Finn, who turns out to be a tracker. And what he does is he tracks what are called the changelings. So the changelings are the people that get swapped at birth. So the trolls swap their babies and let the humans bring them up and take the human babies back to where the trolls live and sort of raise them and keep them as like humans. And it's very kind of fascinating, really. So Finn has tracked her down because she's a very important changeling, because she's the Queen's daughter. And she kind of, it's about her finding out who she is and making that decision to go with the trolls. And there are some evil people that are out to get her, who are also a kind of troll. They're called the Victra. And it's about whether she decides to go, and when she does decide to go, how she kind of adjusts to meeting her mother, living in the palace, and kind of taking on that role as princess, because she's, you know, it's all new to her. So I really, really enjoyed the first book. I thought it was really good, and it definitely left me wanting to go straight into the second one, which is exactly what I did. The second one is called Torn, and this one is more about her kind of coming to terms with the fact that when her mother dies, she will have to become the queen. And you find out a lot about her past. There's more in here that the queen, her mother, hasn't actually told her. And I just had to get through it as quickly as possible. I read these so quickly. I was so kind of into it. It was crazy. And she actually gets kidnapped in this book by the Victra, who were out to get her before she got taken back to the palace. They live in another area, and she doesn't know what to think, because she meets the Victra king called Oren, who is basically an evil, horrible, nasty man. And but she doesn't kind of realise that at first, because he tells her something which her mother has lied to her about. Her mother told her her father is dead, and it turns out, actually, big spoiler here, that Oren is her father, and he gives her the choice: join the Victra and become queen of them, or, you know, to go back to the mother. Obviously, he doesn't want to let her leave. So it's about her kind of finding out more about her past. The Victra are out to get her. She meets a nice man called Loki, who is gorgeous by the sounds of it. And although she's in love with Finn, she's strangely attracted to him, and she doesn't know why. So that's kind of all about that. This one's a bit more dangerous. There's a bit more action in it. And I thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. And the last one is called Ascend, and it says on the front, what will she give up for those she loves? Now, her mother has lived the life of a troll queen. You know, she has rejected love for the good of her kingdom, and in this one, her mother gets very, very ill. So what happens to these trolls is that when they use their powers, they kind of age themselves by using their powers. And in this book, Loki has actually, he let her escape from Oren, who, after she said, no, I'm not staying with you, I want to go back to the troll community, he wouldn't let her leave, and he imprisoned her and her brother and her her other friends, so like her host brother Matt and her real brother Reese. And Loki let them escape, and in this book he comes knocking and wants amnesty, which obviously is kind of safety from the king, because Loki is kind of King Oren's right-hand man, but he, you know, the king is evil, he's not very nice. So in this one it's kind of like she loves Finn, she can't have him because he's a tracker and that's beneath her and they can't be together, but she wants Loki and he's not trusted by the rest of the community. He's, you know, he's on King Oren's side, supposedly. No one trusts him and it's kind of forbidden love. So it's a bit more about that. There's a bit more action, and it's about whether, when she becomes queen, whether, you know, Oren will be able to take her kingdom, and all that kind of jazz. So there's a big battle, there's, you know, love stories. It's really, really good. So I thoroughly recommend the trilogy. It's Switched, Torn and Ascend by Amanda Hocking. Really good for teen readers, really good for young adults like myself, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. They're not too, I mean, it's really, really well written. Everything is a turn pager. It didn't sound waffly at any point, and I didn't kind of want to skip through bits thinking, God, this is a bit boring. I was really kind of captivated the whole way through. So I hope that kind of interests you guys, and that maybe you'll go pick it up. If you have any recommendations for me, then leave them down below. And I think the next set of books I'm going to be reading are The Fallen, and it's not a trilogy actually, I think there's 4 books. So yeah, I'll let you know how I get on with the first one after, and I think this time I'll just review the books individually because that makes for a nice short book review. So I hope you're having a lovely day, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye!